Second tragic death. A family mourns another young girl involved in a jet ski crash 1 week ago. Boneless beef burglary. Suspects wanted after hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of meat was stolen.
There has to be some link to organized crime there to ultimately get rid of the product.
And youth identity protected. Why one expert is defending protections for youth involved in serious crimes.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Tragic news tonight. A second teenager has died following a fatal jet ski collision on Lake St. Clair. A week ago today, first responders, with the assistance of nearby residents, pulled 4 people from the water near Couture Beach in Lakeshore. They had been involved in a collision involving a personal watercraft towing a tube. A 17-year-old girl from Windsor, Essex, was rushed to hospital where she was pronounced dead from her injuries. A 16-year-old girl from Calgary was airlifted to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries. OPP say she has now passed away as well. 2 other teens, ages 15 and 17, were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation into the cause of this collision remains ongoing. Anyone with information related to the crash is asked to contact the Lakeshore OPP detachment. Windsor police are investigating a high-priced heist after thieves made off with roughly $220,000 worth of boneless beef from a parked semi-truck trailer. CTV's Travis Fortnum joins me now with the details on this story. And Travis, the truck was parked in a lot at the time. This sounds very similar to another theft from earlier this year.
That's right, Stephanie. It calls to mind May's Crown Royal heist when suspects made off with a truckload of whiskey. But this heist happened in a different location and police have not linked the two, only confirming Windsor has now seen another 6-figure load vanish. Investigators say the Coast to Coast Express trailer was parked in a lot on Cabana Road East the afternoon of August 2nd. It held 530 boxes of boneless beef chuck roast worth more than 220,000 Canadian dollars. Surveillance video shows a dark gray Jeep and a white Freightliner pull in. 2 men getting out, breaking into the semi and driving off with the trailer. Police believe it was hauled east along Highway 401 and say both the beef and the rig are still missing. Investigators describe 2 suspects, one a slim man with long, dark, curly hair dressed head to toe in black, the other wearing dark pants, a light-colored shirt, and a dark baseball cap. CTV public safety analyst Chris Lewis says it's likely the pair have ties to organized crime considering the nature of the theft.
There's only so many people that have the wherewithal and the connections to unload, in this case, a truckload of meat. You're just not going to go door to door and say you want to buy some meat. It's like the cases of whiskey that were taken some time back. There has to be some link to organized crime there to ultimately get rid of the product without causing a stink and having people call to say, somebody just knocked on my door with a rump roast and a bottle of Crown Royal.
It might sound like a great dinner, but you don't know the source of that rump roast and Crown Royal. Again, though, police haven't drawn any link between these 2 heists. 8 people have been charged in connection to the Crown Royal theft. Anyone with information on this one is asked to contact them or Crime Stoppers. Stephanie.
Okay, Travis Fortnum, thank you for this updated story. Community outrage is mounting after police announced 4 teens are under investigation for kidnapping and extortion. The suspects cannot be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, but some residents say that needs to change. Tonight, calls for tougher measures are colliding with warnings from experts who say naming youth offenders does more harm than good. CTV's Sanjay Maru.
The following is a message from the Canadian National Public Alerting System.
Ontario Amber Alert in effect. The Peel Regional Police have requested an Amber Alert on August 21, 2025. Victim 1 Zaid Rahman, 8 months old, boy, Middle Eastern. Suspect 1 Shahzaib Meeman, 40 years old, male, Middle Eastern. Suspect vehicle is a 2023 grey Nissan Rogue. Other license plate CZLM113, Ontario. Last seen in Brampton. If observed, call 911 https://amberalert.up.ca.
Further offenses after they were 18, it would be secret, like nobody would have access to that.
Since the start of 2025, Windsor police have laid charges against youth in several troubling cases. A violent assault at Festival Plaza in June, a weapons-related video shared online in May, and in the same month, a 16-year-old who allegedly stabbed 2 people. Defense attorney Dan Scott says he's seeing more young people needing legal help.
Youth offenders are committing much more violent crimes. That's just the reality of the times.
The head of New Beginnings, a Windsor agency that works with at-risk youth and those already in the justice system, says the rise in cases reflects deeper issues.
We are seeing an increasing number of referrals for the past 4 or 5 years. We've seen a pretty steady increase.
She says the pandemic played a major role, fueling mental health struggles, school disengagement, and social isolation. It's why, she adds, calls to release the names of youth involved in criminal matters miss the mark because research shows it does more harm than good.
All it does is it, increases the stigma kind of attached to what they did, and it reduces the likelihood that they'll ever get the rehabilitation and, reintegration opportunities that they need to do better.
As for Scott, he says he understands the public's frustration, but stresses police and courts are bound by the law, a law that makes it difficult to keep young offenders in custody.
I know of young offenders that have committed serious offenses, and there's a presumption that they get released. Like, it really takes a lot to have a young offender detained. That's just the reality of the situation.
And lawyer Dan Scott adds changing how Canada tackles youth crime is complicated, partly due to the fact that there are not enough facilities to hold young offenders, even if judges wanted to keep them in custody, he says. As for the head of New Beginnings, she says without stronger investments in mentorship and mental health supports, we will see the same patterns continue to play out in Windsor, Essex. Stefanie.
Okay, thank you for these details. Sanjay Morrow tonight. So here's our question of the day. Do you think there should be harsher penalties for youth crime? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you would like to see tiny cabins for people experiencing homelessness in Windsor. Just shy of 700 people voted, 72% say yes. 3 people are facing charges in connection with an identity fraud scheme. Windsor police say one of the accused is an employee of a telecommunications company. The investigation began in May after an account was opened using 2 stolen identities to obtain over $9,500 worth of electronic devices. Investigators say the employee created the fraudulent account in January, just a week before meeting 2 alleged accomplices at a retail location where they received 2 phones and a tablet. A 35-year-old and a 32-year-old face multiple charges, including fraud over $5,000. The 34-year-old employee was issued a criminal summons. A young man from Windsor is behind bars tonight for sexually assaulting a platonic female friend. Michelle Molesky is joining us tonight with the details on this. Michelle.
Yeah, Stefanie, the woman who cannot be identified knew the accused in this matter for many years. Court learned they had been romantically involved in the past, but they were just friends, both of them 18 years old, in July 2021 when Carl Plummer assaulted her. A Windsor judge described Carl Plummer's actions as a serious violation of the victim's sexual integrity. Plummer was convicted of 1 count of sexual assault after a brief trial. The court found the woman did not consent to sexual intercourse in July 2021. That night, Plummer and the woman were hanging out in his apartment. They briefly discussed being woken up by a sex act. The woman said it made her, quote, extremely uncomfortable, while Plummer, according to the court, was intrigued by the idea. Sometime after falling asleep, the victim told the court she was woken up by Plummer having unprotected sexual intercourse with her. Although describing the assault as, quote, very quick, the woman said it has profoundly changed her life and continues to affect all of her relationships. Justice Ross McFarlane gave Plummer credit for being a remorseful, first-time offender with strong prospects for employment in the future. He was sentenced, however, to 33 months in prison to reinforce the court's denunciation of acts of intimate partner violence. While his DNA will be in a law enforcement databank, the judge rejected a Crown request to have Plummer's name added to Canada's sex offender registry.
While in prison, Plummer is not allowed to have any communication with the victim, and he will have a 10-year ban on owning any weapons when he's released. He hugged his defense lawyer today just moments before being taken into custody. Stephanie.
Okay, Michelle, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Meteorologist Julie Atchison joins us from the Weather Center tonight. Good evening, Julie.
Good evening, Stephanie. Great to be with you. That cloud cover starting to break up out there. High pressure taking hold and drying us out. We did have a lot of low cloud hanging around through the day today, but you can see on the satellite radar really starting to break up, especially through the Chattam area where we're back into a nice mix of sun and cloud and mainly sunny in Lambton County. Essex dealing with the cloud cover, but a nice mix of sun and cloud as we head toward a sunset. Sunsetting just before 8:30. The temperature around 21, by midnight 18. Watch for fog developing overnight. The winds become light and variable. I'll take you through the extended forecast. We do have some sunshine on the way for your Friday. Stay with us. Your local weather is coming up.
A storm that blew through the Wheatley area on August 17th has been confirmed as an EF0 microburst. According to the Northern Tornadoes Project, the storm hit Coatsworth around 4 a.m., causing structural damage to a large drive shed, crops and other items. The damage was rated at the upper end of an EF0. Maximum wind speeds are estimated at 130 kilometers per hour, with damage found over an area of approximately 500 meters long and up to 300 meters wide. A new initiative in Windsor, Essex is aiming to change the way the community responds to gender-based violence. The Hub Without Walls officially launched today, led by the Violence Against Women Coordinating Committee of Windsor, Essex, in partnership with Hiatus House, the Sexual Assault Crisis Center, and Legal Assistance of Windsor. The $2.5 million project, funded by the province, will run for 24 months through March of 2027. More than 18 community agencies are involved, with 13 new frontline positions created across 10 organizations. The goal is to provide mobile, wraparound supports for youth, adults, and families, including trauma counseling, addiction support, prevention programming, and coordinated risk response.
There are many victims of violence who aren't coming forward yet, that don't know where to go, don't know what their options are. So providing that information and the early intervention, if you will, around where people can go, what kind of supports they can get, and tailoring those supports to their needs and in a way that makes sense for them is really crucially important.
As we inch closer to the upcoming by-election, more people have come forward to throw their hat in the ring. There are currently 8 candidates running for Windsor's Ward 2 and another 8 people running in the LaSalle's by-election. Online, you can read about each of the candidates, who they are, and what their main concerns are. Again, you can find that at ctvnewswindsor.ca. Downtown Chatham's Cenotaph is getting a new chapter in its history this weekend. The city and Legion will rededicate the 102-year-old memorial. CTV's Chris Campbell explains tonight why. Chris.
Yes, Stephanie, the Cenotaph was erected after the First World War, but its location in downtown Chatham is tied to history that stretches all the way back to the War of 1812. In recent years, the monument has endured vandalism and graffiti, but now it's poised to begin a new chapter of respect and remembrance.
It's been a landmark in downtown Chatham since after the First World War. Legion President Len Maynard says the Cenotaph doesn't just honor soldiers from modern conflicts. The ground it stands on carries history dating back to the War of 1812.
This was the 2.5-hour battle of McGregor Mill back in the 1812 campaign, where the Tecumseh's Brave and some of the militiamen held off Harrison's Kentuckians and the rest of the American forces. A lot of history here, and we're trying to emphasize that.
On Sunday morning, members of Royal Canadian Legion Branch 642 will march from the hall on William Street to the recently revitalized Cenotaph, joined by pipers, drummers, and veterans.
This is a milestone in the history of the Cenotaph. They had the big parade when they had it. This is a rededication from all the work done to it, and Memorial Square, so it's a big day for all.
That work included new security cameras, fencing it off, and removing all graffiti.
I think it's going to be fantastic, and I hope we get a really good turnout for this event, and keep going.
The service will include wreath laying and a moment to remember those who served and sacrificed, along with a First World War reenactment group.
We've been making a very conscious effort to fix up all cenotaphs in Chatham, Kent, and we're really going to celebrate the one downtown Chatham, which has been there's been a lot of work done on it.
Mayor Darren Caniff says it's a chance for the whole community to pause and reflect.
The last Remembrance Day, there was a record crowd there. It was amazing to see, and I would fully expect that with the nice weather, we're going to have even more people out. And remember, that's what we need to be doing.
This is sacred ground to veterans. And for the veterans that see this kind of dedication going on, work in this area, it just brings it home to the vets.
Organizers call the rare rededication a Lest We Forget event, a reminder that remembrance isn't just about the past, but about keeping history alive for future generations.
Bravo Zulu to the community. They've always been good, and we hope to have a really good parade and educate the public at the same time.
The march begins at 10:30 Sunday morning with the ceremony at the Cenotaph in Memorial Square at 6th and King Street. Stefanie?
It will be a memorable celebration. Okay, Chris Campbell tonight, thank you for this. He was attacked, then defended himself, still ahead on Windsor's news leader. A home invasion is spurring debate over the right to defend. Border bounds after months of slower cross-border travel. More Canadians are heading south again. When we return, what's driving the uptick in traffic to the U.S.? And tomorrow, they're shiny, stubborn, and devouring your garden. How you can fight back against Japanese beetles. That's tomorrow at 6 on CTV News. A 37-year-old Calgary man is facing numerous charges after the alleged abduction of a 12-year-old boy. As CTV's Jordan Kanijan shows us, the boy and his friends orchestrated a catch-a-predator scheme.
It was near this area in the Cooper's Crossing neighborhood of Airdrie. A 12-year-old boy escaped from a kidnapper.
There are numerous youth, ages 12, 13, so quite young, that have been involved in a catch the predator scheme. So apparently this is a new scheme on social media.
Police say the boy was part of a group of between 6 and 10 teenagers who arranged to meet a man in a vigilante sting to expose child predators.
These are very hard to prosecute. It puts these people, these kids in this incident, in extremely high-risk, dangerous situations without backup training, justification, and backup. It's amazingly dangerous what happened in this incident.
Investigators say the teens met the man on Snapchat and it was caught on video. Police say the boy willingly got into the vehicle, but the man drove away with the child. The boy was able to escape a short time later. Multiple teens and other witnesses called 911 and police tracked the suspect to northeast Calgary.
This has not been done before here in Airdrie. In my service time of 23 years, I haven't been involved in a similar investigation where we have somebody setting up to catch a predator or anything along those lines. This is a very unique incident.
37-year-old Zane Merchant of Calgary is facing numerous charges, including kidnapping, sexual interference, and breach of conditions. He does have a history with police.
This offender is known to the ICE unit. We've had more than one investigation and file with this offender, which again speaks to the dangerous and high-risk nature of meeting strangers, conversing with strangers.
Jordan Canigan, CTV News, Airdrie.
Our next story has generated great debate. It involves a renter who was charged with assault after confronting an intruder in his home in the middle of the night. CTV's Heather Wright is in Lindsay, Ontario.
In this town of 22,000 people northeast of Toronto, many here are only talking about two.
I heard, what happened to, Jeremy upstairs, and, from what I understand, someone, broke into his place while he was sleeping, and they attacked him, and he defended himself.
It all happened in the unit above Jesse Kalabik's tattoo shop early Monday morning. Police say they were called to this apartment for a report of an altercation. They say the resident, identified in court documents as Jeremy McDonald, woke up and found an intruder in his home. A fight ensued, and the alleged intruder, identified as Michael Kyle Breen, was airlifted to a Toronto hospital with serious injuries.
I think what he did was justified. There's a lot of, controversy going on right now.
The controversy erupted after police charged both men. McDonald faces aggravated assault and assault with a weapon charges. Court documents suggest a knife was involved. Breen faces various charges, including possession of a weapon, break and enter, and failing to comply with probation.
Something is broken. I know if someone breaks into my house or someone else's, you're going to fight for your life. This guy has a weapon. You're going to use any force you possibly can to protect your family.
Kawartha Police, which laid the charges, defended their decision. Under Canadian law, individuals have the right to defend themselves and their property. However, it is important to understand that these rights are not unlimited in Canada. The law requires that any defensive action be proportionate to the threat faced.
We really need to know the details of what happened inside that home.
Defense attorney Joseph Newberger says it's too early to know exactly what happened inside the apartment, and says Canada does have self-defense laws despite the misinformation circulating online.
We do have sufficient self-defense laws that are broad enough that if an individual comes in with a knife or a gun and you are at serious risk of bodily harm or death, you can respond with lethal force.
Court documents show there was an arrest warrant out for Breen, the alleged intruder, at the time of this incident. Once he's released from hospital, he will be held in custody pending a bail hearing. Meanwhile, McDonald will be in court at the end of September. Heather Wright, CTV News, Lindsay, Ontario.
The Crown has decided to not appeal the acquittals of 5 former members of Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey Team in a high-profile sexual assault case. Alex Formanton's lawyer confirmed the decision from the Office of the Attorney General, which had 30 days to appeal after the July 24th verdict. A formal statement from the Crown has not been released. Formanton, along with Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, and Cal Foote, were acquitted of charges linked to an alleged sexual assault at a hotel following a Hockey Canada gala in June of 2018. The complainant, identified in court as EM, alleged she was repeatedly assaulted by the players after a night out, but the court ruled her testimony was not credible or reliable. With more Air Canada planes taking flight, CTV News has been hearing from passengers frustrated but what they see as the airline's inability and apparent unwillingness to book them on the next available flight home. CTV's Adrian Gobril reports.
The Britton family's European summer adventure ended with their scheduled flight home with Air Canada canceled.
It felt like at every step of the way, instead of trying to provide a solution, it was, you can have a refund. Please have a refund. And we knew that that was really just a way of them absolving themselves of the responsibility.
According to the Canadian Transportation Agency's regulations, if an airline can't rebook you on their airline following a cancellation, a customer may choose a reservation from the next available flight that is operated by any carrier. The Britons found the next available tickets on a United flight from Italy to Kelowna. Air Canada declined to book them.
They said they didn't have access to it.
Stuck in Lisbon, Kyla Kumar also reached out to CTV News after Air Canada refused to rebook her family on a Delta flight home.
Very clear refusal to book us on another carrier.
CTV News also received an audio recording of an Air Canada agent refusing to rebook a customer because there was only a business class seat available.
You are required to put me in that space.
That is something you can take up with customer relations to see why is that not being offered, because on our end we have to maintain the same cabin.
If only business class seats are available on next available flight, they have to rebook you.
Passenger advocates say Air Canada is knowingly breaking federal regulations for financial gain.
There is sufficient ground here to lay criminal charges.
Somebody should be doing an outreach to the CTA and saying, okay, guys, how are you going to handle this one?
CTV News did ask the Canadian Transportation Agency what they're doing to hold Air Canada responsible for breaking federal passenger protection regulations. The CTA didn't directly answer the question, saying in part that their enforcement team is actively looking into the situation and will take appropriate action as necessary.
The CTA is supposed to be the regulatory body that protects Canadian citizens. And again, these things happen, and there's really been no improvements.
CTV News has given Air Canada 2 days to respond to our questions. They've yet to return our email. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Turning our attention now to the ongoing trade war with the U.S. Mark Carney spoke with Donald Trump on the phone today. The Prime Minister calling the trade and security discussions productive. The leaders discussed current trade challenges and shared priorities for a new economic and security relationship between their two nations. Trump and Carney also discussed how to build on President Trump's plan for long-term peace and security for Ukraine and Europe. Both leaders have agreed to speak again soon. The trade tensions have led to a downturn in cross-border traffic as many Canadians opt to avoid traveling stateside. But the latest figures show there has been an uptick in travel in July. CTV's Travis Fortnum has been digging into those numbers for us.
After months of boycotts at the border, traffic into the U.S. ticked up in July, still down from last year, but the highest we've seen so far in 2025. Political science professor Jamie Essex points out that's a trend we always see in the summer.
The trend is the same. There's just fewer people. Although it is notable that for the first time outside of the COVID years, I think since 2006, the number of people coming from the U.S. to Canada is more than the number of people crossing from Canada into the U.S.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection data shows nearly 2.4 million land entries from Canada in July. That's down 500,000 from last year, but the strongest month so far in 2025. In Detroit specifically, 409,000 crossings, about 30,000 more than in June. Why? Well, Essex points out political boycotts usually don't last.
That stuff is hard to sustain over a long period when you've got two countries like the U.S. and Canada that are, despite all the big talk the last several months, still very closely intertwined economically and socially, culturally.
July's entries into Detroit still down more than 34,000 from the same month last year, and duty-free shops who depend on U.S.-bound customers are still feeling it.
July and August should be the busiest time. We should have packed parking lots. We should be making money for the slow winter months. Right now, you will see my store in Sarnia, the parking lot is empty.
The Frontier Duty Free Association says sales were still down nearly 37% in July. CTV News first spoke with them in March when tariff tensions were new. That's when we also spoke to Windsor snowbird Mark McCondack, who cut last winter's trip short.
We actually came back a week early just because I was getting really just upset about the whole situation.
This year, he's sticking to his guns, heading to Europe this winter instead of Georgia. But he doesn't judge others who are heading stateside.
Don't begrudge anybody who feels the need to go over to see our neighbors. I mean, we've all got our reasons for going.
So while July marks the closest we've come to pre-tariff numbers since February, many Canadians still staying elbows up. Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
In Toronto, the TSX gained 177 points. In New York, the Dow fell 153, the Nasdaq dropped 73. The Canadian dollar lost 0.16 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold lost almost $7 an ounce and oil gained 81 cents a barrel. A routine eye exam caught cancer in an Ontario toddler, but most preschoolers are still missing this life-saving check. That story still ahead.
A shout out to Diane Bedard for our photo tonight. You can see this beautiful shot of this faint rainbow in the background. This one came in just this afternoon. Thanks so much for sending it in. A nice warm start to the weekend with some sunshine, but cool air invades next week. I'll have your local forecast coming up in just a few minutes. I'll see you then.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
A comfortable day out there. Julie joins us again for an extended look at the weather. Julie.
Thanks so much, Stefanie. Yes, without the heat and humidity through the day, the cloud cover stubborn to clear, but it clears out overnight and skies will be mainly clear. Watch for a bit of fog developing. Our high this afternoon in the mid-20s. Our low temperature on the milder side at 19 last night, and our sun setting just before 8:30. Satellite radar showing this cloud cover breaking up, so some nice sunny breaks heading into the evening. If you're heading out for a walk after the show, it'll be beautiful. High pressure will move overhead tomorrow, and that will keep us in the clear. We have a beautiful sunny day on the way. Couple things. Of course, you can see our major hurricane that's moving up the coast, and quite a large cloud field associated with this. Again, extending about 400 kilometers out with these winds. However, it is starting to show signs of weakening. We are under the influence of high pressure, and then we have a low pressure system that's moving into northern Ontario. This low will affect our weekend forecast by swinging a cold front through on Saturday. Now, with the frontal boundary coming in, there'll be a bit more cloud cover coming in Saturday afternoon with a chance of showers Saturday evening. And there's the possibility of a thunderstorm as the system comes in. So as we head through your Friday, lots of sunshine, an absolutely beautiful day. And then on Saturday, tracking the cold front as it starts to approach. So you can see a little bit of rain moving through with the front to the south. The main action will be to the north, but it will start to take shape as we move through the day on Saturday. So it looks dry through the day, but by Saturday evening, Saturday night, the chance for showers. Overnight, 15 to 16 degrees right across Essex County. The winds will be light and variable. Again, patchy fog developing through the overnight first thing in the morning. That will quickly mix out, and we're into sunshine. Beautiful Friday setting up. Sunshine right through the day. The high 27. It will feel like the low 30s, so the humidity quite tolerable. Our Siles heating and cooling forecast for your Saturday. A nice mix of sun and cloud to start the day, increasing cloud cover by Saturday evening. Chance for showers ramps up to about a 40% chance, but not until Saturday night. The front will come through, and then the temperatures are set to take a bit of a dive early next week. Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud and 26. The area of low pressure in the upper trough that will set up to the north, that will spin the cold air back into the Great Lakes. And as that spins the cool air in, it will generate some cloud cover heading into Monday. Mainly cloudy and 20. 21 on Tuesday under a mix of sun and cloud, and mix Wednesday into Thursday. And the daytime highs will be creeping just up as we hit midweek, back up to about 25 on a Thursday, but some cooler overnight lows. So I'm sure you'll be talking fall early next week as we start the week on a cool note. Lots of sunshine, though, to kick off your weekend. Friday looks like an absolutely spectacular day. Stefanie, back to you.
Lifetime, brought to you by Safeguard Medical Alert Systems.
If you're in the midst of getting the kids ready for back to school, don't forget their eyes. As CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, they're covered by OHIP, but shockingly, few kids go for eye exams.
If I had not seen an issue in Nash's eye, it would never have been on my radar to take him to get an eye exam so early in his life.
In fact, only 17% of infants or toddlers get their eyes checked. And in school children, the number is only slightly better, 33%.
So we recommend that children start getting their eyes checked at 6 months of age and then annual from 2 years old onwards. And in Ontario, OHIP covers eye exams for children 19 and under every year.
And Dr. Shaina Nancy says back to school is the perfect time of year to get your kids' vision checked.
There are very serious conditions like eye cancers, or there are sight-threatening conditions like strabismus, which is a wandering eye, or amblyopia, a lazy eye, when one eye doesn't see as well as the other.
For Nash, it was a potentially life-saving checkup with an optometrist that allowed his parents to learn he had an eye cancer called retinoblastoma when he was just 5 months old. Detecting retinoblastoma used to be easier before smartphones came along and reduced the opportunities of seeing something called leukocoria. That's the distinctive eye reflection in photos caused by retinoblastoma.
You can actually recreate that red reflex in the eye if you're using the video mode in a dark room with a forced flash.
But Caitlin Winterink never saw leukocoria in Nash's initial photos, so the checkup was key.
So I recommend that parents go to optom.on.ca, and that is a website where you can find an optometrist near you and just book an appointment.
As for Nash, he was treated with chemotherapy and now gets frequent eye checks, but he's ready to start kindergarten in the fall. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
So, Jonny, we have a corny segment coming up.
Yeah, your favorite festival is back in town this weekend.
Stay tuned for details.
Get ready to rock the runway. Enter today's keyword at ctvwindsor.ca for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Noah Khan at Rock the Runway in London, Friday, September 12th, plus an overnight stay.
Once a breakfast staple, now shipments of U.S. orange juice to Canada plummeted in June, the lowest in more than 2 decades. CTV's Kathy Lee on the cocktail of reasons for the citrus slump.
At this Ontario grocery store in Calgary, U.S. orange juice bottles cling to a tiny slice of shelf space. Demand for the drink drying up over time. Canadians no longer seem as sweet on the OJ as they once were.
I drink less orange juice.
We're finding it a little bit on the pricey side.
It's a little bit too acidic for me, so for health reasons, we've cut down on that.
The changing consumer habits, one of the reasons U.S. orange juice imports into Canada hit a record low in June in more than 20 years, according to new U.S. data.
Per capita consumption in North America has more than halved in the last 20 years.
Supply issues in states like Florida because of disease and extreme weather, and retaliatory tariffs on U.S. citruses and orange juice also contributing factors.
We're clearly feeling the impact of the steel and aluminum tariffs. These retaliatory tariffs were intended to do the same thing to the U.S.
At the Bridgeland grocery store, the owner says some shoppers are branching out, thirsty for something new.
Mango juice or pineapple juice, stuff that is more of a different price point.
While desire for the U.S. imported option dwindles, at Centerra, it's the opposite for the tangy juice, freshly squeezed right from the fruit.
We are seeing an increase on a per customer basis.
Jose Lomelli says thanks to oranges imported from other countries,
Egypt, Morocco, Zimbabwe.
These bottles of citrus sunshine still affordable.
This is the best orange juice.
With fresh becoming more popular and a plethora of other juices available.
Orange mango juice that's organic. I can get guava juice.
It's uncertain if U.S. OJ can squeeze its way back into shopping carts in the future or will peel out of the picture. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Turning now to our new weekly segment, What's Up YQG, with Jonny Parks from our sister radio station Virgin Radio and our own Melanie Kentner. Now, you both have 3 suggestions for us tonight.
Jonny, there's a lot to see and do around Windsor, Essex this weekend, so let's start with Art by the River in Amherstburg.
Yeah, it's returning to Fort Malden on Saturday and Sunday for its 58th year. This is the largest arts and crafts show in Essex County and something of an end of summer tradition.
Yeah, for sure. They've got 175 artists and artisans from across Ontario, and they'll be open both days from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And Fort Malden is such a nice place to visit anyway. We went to Art by the River a couple years back and managed to get a lot of Christmas shopping done, which is wild because I'm usually a huge procrastinator.
I know, so am I. And I hear there's also a family-friendly event in Windsor.
Yeah, you can catch a free outdoor movie night at Fontainebleau Park. That's thanks to the Windsor Public Library and the Friends of Fontainebleau. So they're showing Moana 2, a great one to bring the kids out to. See the light as it shines on the sea. It's blinding. They're going to have family-friendly activities starting at 6:30, and the movie starts at sundown, so around 8:30. Make sure you bring your blankets or lawn chairs.
Yes, for sure. I love that Moana 2 movie. Okay, and one of my favorite festivals is coming up this weekend.
Yeah, the Tecumseh Corn and Music Festival is back this weekend at McAuliffe Park with free admission to the main festival grounds. They'll have carnival rides, or in this case, I guess you would call them cornival rides. They've got the kids zone and the real star of the show, of course, the delicious sweet corn.
I love that you brought the corn. We are going to have to try some of that later. Okay, but what about the live music?
They're going to have Simply Queen, the Ultimate Queen cover band performing on Friday. And then a lineup of local artists for Saturday, including country singer Kelsey Maine.
Sounds amazing. Well, we've put the links and all the ticket information on our website. So thanks, Jonny, for the rundown. And that's What's Up YQG.
Don't forget your corn.
Yes.
Can't get better than Cornfest. Okay, thanks, guys. Now, do you have an idea for a great story? We want to hear from you. Text us at 10400.
This is your CTV Windsor Our Community Calendar. Enjoy a day full of entertainment, refreshments, and fun at the Walk for Parkinson's, Sunday, September the 7th at Malden Park. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Melanie Kentner. And Melanie, you have more reaction for us to youth crime.
That's right. Community concern has been amplified in recent months due to a number of criminal incidents involving youth. The cases involving people under the age of 18 have drawn sharp reaction online, with some calling for their names to be released, even though that's not allowed under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. But experts caution perception doesn't always match reality. New Beginning says it can appear that violent youth crime is more rampant than it really is the case.
What we are seeing is, more social media awareness, more sharing of stories, more vocalization of opinions, more data being shared, and more community policing initiatives, which brings these things to light, which is not a bad thing, right? Root causes, it's poverty, it's trauma, it's, all the housing and food insecurity, that's family struggles, and then it's peer networks.
We've got more details on youth crime at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And we've also got a story online, Melanie, about how you can take a step back in time in Essex.
Yes, the town has launched an online interactive tool to explore its heritage sites. The virtual tour explores many historical sites on Alice Street. It features storytelling, visual mapping, and photos dating back to the 1800s. Town officials say it helps promote awareness of the Heritage District. You can check out the tour in the link on our website. And in our social spotlight, when yoga on the beach is a bit too relaxing. Yeah, so this Sunday morning yoga session turned into a nap for one person, and then when it was over, everyone just left her there, Stefanie.
You know what? Isn't the point of yoga is to go there, be zen, and relax? So good for them for taking it all the way.
That's right. They were probably just meditating.
Okay, thank you, Melanie, and that's what's happening now. When her wedding ring vanished, he faced a mountain of rotting compost. When we return, the love story that neither of them ever forgot. Julie joins us one last time for a look at the weather.
Thanks so much, Stefanie. Sunshine for your Friday. It's going to be one of those beautiful days. Get out and enjoy it, even if you can just sneak out for a quick walk on your break. 26 degrees heading into Saturday. Chance for showers by Saturday evening. With a cold front coming through, we could see a pop-up thunderstorm. Mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. Temperature drops Monday, mainly cloudy at 20, and a cool start to the week. Daytime high Tuesday through Thursday, 21 to 25, under a mix of sun and cloud. Enjoy your sunny Friday. A great way to start the weekend. Stefanie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Travis, you're joining us again. The story about the meat heist, very interesting.
Yeah, so we have to bring you more on that tonight. We'll talk to CTV public safety analyst a little bit more. He's going to weigh in on the fact that that the public wasn't notified about this for more than 2 weeks after police say the crime occurred. He's going to weigh in on whether or not that really matters with the investigation. And we're also going to look at a new way Lakeshore is ensuring people of all abilities can enjoy the water at Lakeview Park.
Very important. Okay, thank you, Travis. Now we leave you tonight with a story about the power of love and just how far one man was willing to go for it. Here's CTV's Sinjay Alexander.
18 tons of rotting, steaming, stinking compost, and somewhere in this mound might be his wife's wedding rings.
She never takes them off.
But while washing her hands at a restaurant, Janine Van Ijseldijk realized they had somehow slipped off.
Left the restaurant. I'm like, I can't even wait for the check.
After a frantic search, the couple figured the rings must have slipped off into the compost. But by now, the garbage had already been collected.
I said I'd go to the dump in the morning and ask them if I could go through the compost pile.
He said, let me try. I said, okay.
In other words, just about everyone, including Denny Webster at the Mission Sanitary Landfill, thought this was a lost cause.
My brain was trying to figure out a way to tell him to go buy his wife new wedding rings.
However, admiring the dedication,
I was grabbing it from there.
Webster dug out smaller piles for Steve Van Ysseldijk's smelly treasure hunt.
When he has something on his mind, he makes sure he does it.
Bit by bit, he began to recognize his own waste. A popcorn bag, he yelled out.
Oh, there's my sausages.
And if you can believe it, he suddenly had one ring. And within an hour, he had them both.
And it was all slimy with popcorn and butter.
So he called his wife and told her the news.
She basically broke down crying, cried all the way home, she said.
Well, yes, because I know how much he loves me, that he's willing to go through a rotten, stinky compost pile.
I don't think he really believed that he had found it, even though he had them both in his hands.
The chances of a happy ending were unlikely.
It's not the money, it's the sentimental value.
It's the money.
But Van Ysseldijk refused to believe the impossible.
I think he would have dove in here if I wasn't here.
St. John Alexander, CTV News, Mission.
Oh, he clearly loves her so much. I can't imagine going through all of that garbage, but it's like he won the lottery twice.
Yeah, what's love, though, if it's not a little bit messy, right?
Oh, definitely. Okay, thank you, Travis. On behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And I'll be back with your only late local newscast tonight at 11.